I'm going to give you a little background here and to let you know what this is all about. This is my father, Edward VIII, and I've put this up on YouTube and Facebook for many years now. And it's 26th, the day after Christmas, 2017. This is my Aunt Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist. And this is the double that married Wallace Simpson, the imposter. My father was always married to Georgia O'Keeffe's baby sister, Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe Windsor. She was actually queen when she was married to my father, and she was always married to my father. It was a plot to take him down, and by Winston Churchill, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers. Joe Kennedy was appointed ambassador, the American ambassador to England, 36 till he kicked him out in 46. He's the father of JFK and Joe, the older son. The older son and JFK used to fly into the embassy and actually made a speech, JFK did, before the Parliament. He was there and he stayed at the embassy with his father's son. JFK was actually flying in there in 1939, the year I was born, and in 1941 when I was kidnapped and brought to Moulton, Alabama, and given the name of a dead twin, Peggy Ann Dempsey, I married a Childers. I still have to use that name. I found out about my kidnapping, and I certainly can remember it now. And when I went out to Larry Flint's home in Bel Air at the time, twice, November of 1983, he says here I knew who was responsible for his shooting in Lawrenceville, Georgia, March the 6th of 78. And he mentions Larry McDonald, who was a congressman, doctor, and a few more, Murphy, and etc. And he talks about me, and I thought it was a pretty good endorsement, and I appreciated it. Now then, he furnished me a car for a year, and I have told just some of the horrible crimes committed against me, and they've never stopped, actually, and to my sons, but I haven't told the really horror involved, and I hope I get to soon. I don't know that I will, but I keep hoping. Now, I want to try to get this up in some kind of order here because I moved around and made to move from place to place, and I'm kept homeless and in rags. And I even lived up on the Appalachian Trail here off Mountain Pass Road, and I did a bit of the trail in between let's see, Catawba Mountain. Let's put that in for good measure here. And back across and on up. Well, I some of it was done almost up to Front Royal there. So I did quite a bit of walking and hiking, living in a tent when I had one, and trying to live and starve. And people were told not to help me. And it was a rough life. I starved and froze. And this woman, I was telling about mind control murders because Mr. Flint was shot by a program shooter. So was Martin Luther King. But then you get Martin Luther King was in cahoots with JFK when he was president, because the whole deal was to take out Great Britain, the British, everything that we owned. And especially South Africa. So the United Nations was, it started or began right after I was kidnapped. My father was taken down because he wouldn't follow the orders of the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers that kidnapped me. And his own brother helped kidnap me with Roosevelt. And so that I'm not skipping around here, my Uncle George helped kidnap me, and I don't have that photograph. I put it up before. He was with Roosevelt in 1939, planning my kidnapping. And I have a photograph an attorney gave to me out of Newsweek, I believe. But anyway, I was flown out to Mr. Flynn's, and he helped me in the campaign. I'm going to show Elizabeth again in this brood. And this is Snowden, Anthony Armstrong Jones, and he didn't have a title. So this is his last 3 children, I believe. So she gave him the title of Lord Snowden, so I think he had a seat in Parliament, and I don't know. But anyway, she gives him titles. This is an illegal monarch. She should be in prison for war crimes and a traitor. And if you go back and look, after kidnapping me and taking down my father, you'll see the treaties that are illegal, and you'll see the United Nations began. That's your global government that's in power now, put there by the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, the very people that kidnapped me, that control your press. My mother was always married to my father. This is Georgia. So much was done to the O'Keefe family, too, out of Madison, Wisconsin. And she had a ranch out in, Ghost Ranch out in New Mexico, Abiquiu, near Santa Fe. And a lot happened to her. But my mom was actually queen, and they took my father down with character assassination, and he was forced to abdicate in 1936. And history, even today, and this is where I'm going with this, even today, they're bringing up old photographs of the double that married Wallace Simpson, saying it's my father, and that my father abdicated for this American divorcee. And she may have been Catholic, I don't know. Yet they took down the real king, my father. My mother was a school teacher, very beautiful lady. They were married to each other, and that was it. And they were still alive in 1986 when I came to Roanoke in October the 20th of 86. And they were alive. Now, here's how history is such a lie. And I'd like my father's name restored to the truth, and my mom and me and my sons. And this woman, the truth about her and her father, who's an illegal, who helped take down his own brother and kidnap me. Yes, he did. And she has never tried to correct any of this. Just pretend I don't exist and tear down her own country. And she's beloved by so many people. She is a war criminal. Okay. Let me see if I can go from here. Mr. Flint flew me out there, and I didn't win the campaign. I had been writing about mind control murders. I had worked for doctors, and I was telling about a little bit like, I don't have that article out. It was, I believe, Tex Mars and Project Lucid was the name of the book. And a church actually gave it to me here and told me this is kind of what you've been telling about. Only they got into the end times, but then the end times in the prophecies, really the Rockefellers and Rothschilds, the Bilderbergers that kidnapped me, the global government that's in place. But it's the treaties that were illegally signed after they took down my father with character assassination. The bad behavior and all of that was a lie that they concocted to take down my father. The double, they had more than one double, actually did all this crap, and some of it was very criminal, especially after he was made governor of the Bahamas. And her, it's unreal. But there was some speculation I heard. Winston Churchill was a part of all this with Roosevelt, and that's the President Roosevelt, the Kennedys, and Eisenhower and Truman get into all this. And Marshall, as they named Marshall Space Flight Center and Marshall Islands. So you can link it together. But it all came to be after my father did the right thing. And look at him. History has him marrying Wallace Simpson, a total lie, while he's married to my mom. And they delete me from history because there was a addendum, legal attachment, that if my father had an heir, the heir would inherit, and it was all legal. And I was born in 1939, and I don't have that photo of my uncle. It's on other things here, though. Meeting with Roosevelt in 39 to kidnap me. So my life here was hell. And so was my children, Mark and Scott, who are the legal heirs after me, not William and Harry. You know, well, I'm not going to go into that. I want to say this. Meghan Markle spent Christmas in my home, Buckingham Palace, with this woman, and they call them the royals. They're being called the world royals or something. Is similar to the New World Order, naming themselves. You know, some of my family did help me, and some of the German people, citizens, and a lot of the citizens of Great Britain, Australia, Canada, England, and Wales, and I hope Scotland helped me. So it's unbelievable, this whole mess, and she is so admired. And I guess nobody wants to live my life. Everybody wants to be a princess. Well, my title is the Queen of England. And look at all the mess that they're telling now. Meghan Markle, let me go ahead, and I wanted to write this down. I don't usually. But she's an actress. She was married and she's divorced. And she's older than, I don't know if she's Catholic. I think she did go to a Catholic school. But these are things that, I don't know if my mom was Catholic. My mom was a school teacher. They just expunged her like it never happened. Like my father's this person running, well, I'm not even going to say it. You know, and there's still, the thing that really gets me is after all these years, there's a blackout by the Rockefeller, well, by the media. Trump told you the truth. Only in my case, it's because of who I am and what they've done to us. If they told the truth about this mess, I can't believe this world would go along with it. I don't. Not for a moment. I wanted to read here, though. Meghan spent Christmas yesterday, and more than that, and they're all loving her up. And all the royals was there. Somebody made me a member of, I wish I had that down, I didn't. The World of Royals or something is the title, and it's got all these relatives that are kin to me. Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands, you got it. It's a whole bunch in there. Can you believe that, I don't know how many, but had dinner at one of the castles, and Meghan Markle was ushered in and all dressed fit to kill, arm in arm with Harry and Kate Middleton and William. I mean, they have lived this life of sheer right in my face, right in everybody's face. While I have, it's not just the rags. There was a few times I did have nice clothing. But basically, my life has been hell, and part of it that involves some Jews. I was never prejudiced. I'm this giving, caring, empathetic person. And to come and find out what's really been done to me and why, just because I was born, and who did it to me, is so absurd that it's been allowed to go on. And especially her. She came right through here when the killings happened at University of Virginia in Blacksburg, here next to me. The kid was a program shooter from South Korea, so it gets into a whole list, just like, and they don't want to tell it, and you can't get it into court because it's almost like fingerprints. If you could show that fingerprints were not legit, then there'd be so many people going back into court and trying to say they're innocent. They won't take this, even though if you ever got it up, there's some of them that totally can be proven. Mind control murders you can't see them. They're invisible. But they were done in patterns. I had a letter from the FBI, June the 23rd of 79, ongoing investigation, national security involved. I thought it was because of the book that I'd written, and part of it was, but because Larry McDonald was a congressman doctor, went down in the KAL August 31st of 83, and that was the campaign I was in. He's the one that Flint says tried to kill him. He certainly was a part of what happened to me April the 1st, 1980. But I wanted to get to this just to list it. I'm going to turn this around if I can. I'm going to try to get back this way. I'm not sure this is going to go up right. I have a little phone and... Anyway, it was a plot to remove my father, King Edward VIII, who refused to take orders from the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers, Kennedys. Why do you think they don't tell the Warren Commission covered up the shooting of Kennedy, Roosevelt, etc., and Uncle George, who was illegally installed by the Illuminati in 1937, and that's when the double married Wallace Simpson. My father was married to my mom. She was queen in 1936 and should still be. Winston Churchill partnered with Roosevelt and this whole group and helped burn the Windsor files. My birth certificate, my father's marriage, just wiped them out to my mom. Now there's a movie on the birth date that's given me next month, January the 7th. The global, oh, excuse me, I'm getting ahead because this is, I always run out of time. Golden Globe Awards on January the 7th, which is the birthday I have to go by, January the 7th. And one of the movies in it is The Darkest Hour by Winston Churchill. It's making him out to be a hero. Total lies, just like the Queen and the King's speech of George, the illegal George VI. You never hear anything of the truth in it. They made these bullies, kidnappers, traitors that should be charged with war crimes out to be heroes. Now then, I do want to put this in real quick. I don't know if any of this is ever made to where people have to watch it. But Larry Flint showed me the galley proofs of the Jerry Falwell, the Reverend, near here at Liberty University in Lynchburg. I didn't know why he was showing me that parody that was going to go up in Hustler magazine. I never saw him again after October and that campaign. He furnished me a car. But then I came to Roanoke. I never had any idea I'd be here in Roanoke living on the Appalachian Trail. And he was sued in court down the Poff building, Roanoke, by Jerry Falwell. Now I'm going to skip to somebody was sent up to get me January the 6th, I guess, of whatever year Larry Flint's movie was shown. There was a movie about Larry Flint. Freedom of speech, and he deliberately come up and got me because there was just 7 showings, I believe, of the movie, and that was, well, of the first. It was the first showings, and one of them happened to be here in Roanoke, of all things. So for whatever that means in the upcoming Winston Churchill, The Darkest Hour, which all of it's a lie, making out the devil to be the good person is exactly what this has all been about. Now I want to read this a little bit. They took my father down with total lies, character assassination, all of it lies. They took out me. They don't even mention me. And I want to read to you just a little bit of what, okay, Uncle George helped kidnap me, who became the illegal George VI, Elizabeth's father. And her mother was kin to the Rothschilds, very close, and helped in all this mess of kidnapping me and taking my mother down. Now then, Elizabeth wed Philip Mountbatten, and that's where the Kennedys come into that part of the family. Jackie's sister, I've forgotten her name now, married into the royal family. Okay, Philip and Elizabeth are the same kin to me as they are to each other, I hate to say. Charles wed Diana and divorced, and they had 2 sons, William and Harry. Charles then wed Camilla Parker Bowes, who's divorced from Andrew Parker Bowes, and now Duchess of Cornwall, and she was Catholic. And Camilla and her first husband had 2 children. Now then, they're supposed, Elizabeth and all of them, well, Elizabeth's not even the monarch legal, so this whole thing is so absurd that it's been allowed to go on. There's no rules. They pulled off the biggest heist that's ever been pulled off, and people love them. That's what I can't understand. William wed Kate Middleton, and they had George, little George, and Charlotte, 2 children. She's pregnant again. Now Harry is to wed American divorcee, 3 years older, and a movie actress. And she's an American. And the thing that gets me is the press is bringing up pictures of this phony here and saying it's the King of England gave up his throne to Mary Wallace Simpson. And she was twice divorced. That's a total lie. After all these years, me finding out and living in hell and my children in laws you can't get into court, broken against us, and now they're still using that right in my face. You know, I have lived in rags. I've told about the mind control, which everybody would want to know if it's ever put up there and you have to face it. But where am I? I spent yesterday here. I had breakfast. Other than that, I didn't have anything. I haven't had clothes recently. Someone bought me some, but I'll probably lose them. This is what happens because I'm run off and it's illegal as heck. I don't have a suitcase to carry them in, and can't get on a Greyhound bus to be run out of town and then run back. And I can't go up to the Appalachian Trail because I hope and wish there's a way to show you the last time, 2 times I went up there, what happened. Somebody told me I lived in Edinburgh, so you see what they're doing with the titles. I worked for Fred Simpson, the district attorney in 80 after they almost killed me, Simpson as in Wallace. You get the build-up of patterns and stuff. But I lived at Edinburgh. Lucky, I thought, to have just a place to put my backpack and be. And a woman there, Carol Rogers Simon. Okay, she was divorced from a psychiatrist out of Seattle. And she'd come there. What she was doing there, I don't know. But she ended up with my apartment. And you'll never get the truth of any of it. You start putting people up under oath for perjury if they perjure themselves and don't tell the truth. But she got my apartment. But she told me, she says, you're paying for what your family did to the Jews. Because I'm allergic to chemicals. I have an autoimmune disorder. And if I'm in a place that's toxic, and this has been done deliberately, I can go anywhere except where I get a room to live or stay for a while and I'm by myself. I'm overrun with fumes that just enough to kill you, kill a horse or anybody else can live in it. And if they get orders to move me, that's what happens. And I'm out, if I've got any money, getting a cab to go back to the mountains to live or to go out of town or run to another motel where the same thing happens. Nobody wants to hear it. They're living comfortable and they want to stay that way and they think it can't bother them. And that's the same thing they're doing here because the man that owns all these has gotten wealthy. I'm going to go ahead and say his name because it's rough here. It's halfway distant. It's Sonny Shaw and the Patels. And they're from India. And they own so many, they've become so wealthy here and just the property. And you have to wonder why. They've done all this to me. Well, it's not just them. If I try to leave, I'm run back here. So I'm going to quit. They've used my illness, and over time, it attacks, my immune system attacks itself, and the inflammation can tear up your kidneys, every part of your body, your heart, your lungs, your liver. I'm lucky, I guess you could say, that it hasn't killed me yet. But I'm going to leave it at that. Look at just the laws that I put up there, that these people calling them the monarchs and got all this family of mine, I hate to say. Now, some of them I hope are good. They're wearing all these jewels and crowns and everything and giving to charities. My God.